I didn't even want to talk about this, but we got breaking news, and I'm just curious before we dive into the meat and potatoes of tonight's show. I wanted to get you guys' thought on, we already heard that the band is returning. Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee on Hush, right? So that's happening starting in March, right? So we were all kind of jazzed and getting ready to, put that in our pool. And then bam, Jorge Jimenez drops this on us. And
oh man,
Jorge Jimenez and Matt Fraction are doing Batman starting in September, and it's going to be a #1. So they're renumbering Batman again for the 4th time in history. So the 4th time in the 85-year history of Batman, they're renumbering it. And I'm trying to figure out why. And I kind of got the answers. But before I do, anybody want to, just give your initial reactions to Matt Fraction writing Batman for the first time and Jorge Jimenez continuing on. And so this is his 3rd writer.
Matt Fraction's cool, man. His run on Hawkeye, his run on Sex Criminals, I like him there. But I'm kind of iffy seeing a new #1, man. This is the 3rd new #1 in what, 20 years out of those 80 years.
Third and less. Yeah. Third and less than 20 years. Third, because you got 2011, 2015, 2016, and then now we're at 2025. So yeah, man, really in a 9-year and
oh yeah, my math was off.
But it's not in 20 years because the New 52 started in 2011.
Yeah.
So Jason, what's your thoughts on this new renumbering of Batman?
Yeah, I get it. I know why they're doing it. Obviously, it's a big boost to sales, even though they're really wanting to set a record like they did with Absolute Batman. With Jim Lee being on it, the new #1, they're probably expecting to do just that. I hate it. I don't like the renumbering myself, but I get it. And, I figured this was going to happen.
Tony, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, just to echo off of what Southern Comic Book Geek said. I think it's a big cash grab. However, it's great to change things up a little bit. I know I enjoy some new stuff. So who knows? Maybe this would be a very iconic run. Maybe it'll gather a cult following, but time will tell. But overall, yeah, getting a new #1 is it's always controversial, but we'll see.
Man, I think we're all on the same page. And SEG, you hit it on the head. End of the year cash grab, copy and paste from Absolute Batman. Absolute Batman was the #1 selling comic of 2024, and it was almost like a buzzer beater shot at the end of the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they did it right. And one of the other things, just to echo that, that's a trend that DC does. I was going to look at the cover. That's a trend that DC does. A lot. Okay. Just a quick story. People talk about Doomsday Clock and the delays. You guys remember that? Doomsday Clock, and there was a huge delay in Doomsday Clock. But that's from our point of view because we're the consumer. But when you start talking to the people that were creating Doomsday Clock, they'll tell you a different story. They'll tell you that DC forced them to release Doomsday Clock 4 months earlier so that it could reflect on the end of the 2017 books. Okay. Doomsday Clock was initially supposed to be in the following year in April. Okay. And that's why issue #2 came out in that month, the very next year. And it was because that was when Doomsday Clock was supposed to come out. And so DC does that a lot, where they'll come out with something at the end of the year to try to, pad the stats toward the, to make it look like they had this flourishing year. And I mean, I'm still curious about Absolute Batman. I saw Snyder at MegaCon, and I was actually at that panel where Jorge Jimenez was there, Rafa Sandoval was there. So there, some big DC artists and talent was at this panel. And I'll tell you, Scott Snyder spoiled Absolute Batman in issue 15. He told us when the Joker's coming in. He told us all this crap. He told us that there's going to be a new metal. So there's going to be a trilogy. So just know that the metal's not over. It's not over. Okay. I want it to be over, but it's not over. But anyway, my point is, I was curious about how, Absolute Batman having legs. And then after attending one MegaCon, I saw that a lot of people really like Absolute Batman, and I think it is going to have some relative staying power. But as we get back to the actual release of this Batman #1 in September, it's a total gimmick. I absolutely hate renumberings on legacy type titles. I understand, like Aquaman just renumbered. That's fine, because Aquaman is like, as they say, like a JV type of character, So like doing a renumbering, that's good for the consumer, and that's good for the actual creative team, because they're able to like start their run fresh from the start, and have that packaged run, so that's good. But everybody's heard of Superman and Spider-Man and X-Men and all that. We want to preserve that legacy, and furthermore, they're doing all of these gimmicks to attract new audiences. Where are they? The same old people. The thing is, we're gullible as comic book collectors. We got to get a new #1 regardless, because we think it's historical in our own mind, so we're going to get it. So they're preying on us, right? Because are you guys getting a #1? I'm getting it for sure. I'm definitely getting Batman #1.
I probably will. Yeah.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So like they know. So it's to me, that's the biggest lie any major publisher can say, is they're renumbering to get new people on, but it's a bunch of the same old people lining up to get the new run. That's what it is. And the people that were kind of sleep behind the wheel, they're the ones, waking up. And you know what? I'm gonna get back on the horse and try Batman for the first time. But I mean, Matt Fraction, though, he's never did Batman before. So I'm curious about that. I know we were talking earlier, Mark, about Jorge Jimenez staying on, right? And you had issues with that.
Yeah, I wanted to pose the question to you guys. What do you guys think about this? Is Jorge Jimenez's third writer, and I'm in the boat that I like to see if it's a new #1. In 2011 we had Greg Capullo, Scott Snyder. Snyder had a little experience on Batman before, but it was a new pair up of him and Greg Capullo. It felt like something completely different. And then it was David Finch and Tom King, and that was something completely different. And I think I'm a little disappointed that it's still Jorge Jimenez. No problem with Jorge Jimenez's art, but when it's a new #1, or I want it to be a new creative team completely. Do you guys feel anything about that?
Yeah, I can understand that, but I think it comes down to pages and what it costs per page for Mr. Jimenez. He's good, and he's less expensive versus like a David Finch. David Finch is just as good, but he charges more per page. So in this shaky economy, everyone's trying to save a couple of bucks. I don't mean that in a negative way, that they can hire somebody in like and undercut everybody. Jorge Jimenez is incredibly talented, obviously, because he keeps getting picked. But I think it comes down to just dollar and cents. They can get the same quality with going Mr. Jimenez versus bringing in, like, if they had Jim Lee do it, this book would only be, it'd be a limited issue run, 6 issues, and that'd be it.
Yeah.
Fantastic points. Where I go with it, I'm kind of happy that Jorge's staying on. I mean, think about it. Most of the people that are known to do Batman for DC is no longer with DC at the moment. So like Fabok, even Lee Bermejo is doing more stuff for Marvel now. Greg Capullo's over at Marvel now. So all the people that we would want to see do Batman is not really with DC anymore. And so Jorge Jimenez, I mean, you can always prop up Jim Lee, but Jorge Jimenez is the number one artist. He's the feature artist at DC. And so having that stability there. And then here's the other point I was going to say before we wrap this up. Jorge Jimenez, you mentioned this earlier, Mark, that this is his third writer. And I feel that him starting Batman, you got to understand, Tom King got fired off Batman. Okay. He got booted. The shit was boring. I'm sorry, guys. For all of the people that was liking, like Tom King had me like the first 20 issues, but then it was like the graphic novels was reading like floppies. It's like, come on, dude. Like, it's like when you, it's like, dude, it's like the craziest concept of time. Like when you could read a whole graphic novel and feel like you got absolutely nowhere. Like I may be a minority in that thought, but but I can't be, because people were complaining, and to the point where this dude got fired. He already publicly stated that he wanted to go to at least 100 issues, right? So he got cut at 85, and then you throw in Tynan, right? So Tynan, in my book, no shade on Snyder, I feel like he's kind of been carrying Snyder throughout Snyder's like Batman career. If you think about it, if you think about everything Snyder has done, Tynan has been there kind of in the shadows, you know, supporting that, whether it would backup stories or tie-ins, things of that nature. He's always been around Snyder's career. And so he was kind of next in line to do Batman, but it kind of felt phoned in. Because it was like very impromptu. Keep in mind, this was during the pandemic. A lot of crap was going on during that time. So long story short, I think this is Jorge's baby right now. This run, there's redesigns. He's talking about redoing Gotham and all of this stuff, bringing some old elements back in. I think that this is his stab versus he was reacting and taking a gig, you know, being substitute teacher, so to speak, because Tom King got the axe, right? And then people liked him, right? And then you had the whole punchline phenomenon. So like that was big, that he got even bigger after Super Sons with the whole punchline thing. But then Tynan is, you know, a rock star with indie stuff. And then, you know, and then they gave him Chip. And truth be told, you know, it's a mixed signal with Chip Zdarsky, but I feel that he's better than Tom King. And so going back to the renumbering, I can see why they want to kill this volume, because think about it. It's kind of lackluster. Like, okay, last question as it pertains to Batman before we move on, because we know it's about to end after Hush, right? Chip Zdarsky just, you know, his last issue was like last week, I think. What grade would you give Volume 3 Batman?
Compared to Volume 2?
In general. So like a letter grade. Like, so if you was grading it, right? And, you know, like, for example, Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run A+. See what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's an unfair comparison.
We're not comparing. I'm just saying, like, standard-wise, whatever meets your comic book taste,
right?
Like my comic book taste, that's A+. What grade would you give Volume 3? So from Tom King all the way to Zdarsky, what grade are you guys giving Volume 3?
C, man.
C. Okay.
C minus. Yeah.
C minus.
Well, and Jim Lee could bring it up a little bit.
It's true.
But it's definitely a C. It was just all over the place. Chip Zdarsky was underwhelming. I mean, I had such high hopes for that, but you know.
What about you, Mark?
I might have to give it a D, man. Like, well, if you're going by academic standards, Like I'm giving like volume 2 like a B because like
Yeah.
I think one of the only story arcs I didn't like was Endgame, and I liked Super Heavy, and I liked Court of Owls, and I liked Death of the Family, and like the single issues were
That's
all
new
right.
52. You talking about new 52? That's new 52.
I'm saying volume 2, I'll give it a B, but
Okay.
volume 3, man, like you got like 20 good issues in the beginning, and I do like some of the Catwoman, um, Batman romance, but the wedding, Dick Grayson getting shot, the court case. I didn't really like City of Bane that much, and then I think Tinian phoned it in, coming in late, replaced Tom King, and then I think Chip Zdarsky was kind of too off the wall, and man, that's like what 20? It's like 10%, 15% good. So that's that might be even an F, man. You
You
know,
can't
going
give
by
it an F.
academic.
Nah, F. Come on, dude.
That might be an
Come
F,
on,
man.
come on. Slow down. A F. A F.
He
A
is-
did
D
say
or a
might.
F,
He
man.
did say might.
F. F is just absolute
And
trash. It ain't trash. It's
Jim
like,
Lee
think about
might
it.
give it
Tom
extra
King
credit
had the
though.
best artists. Like the art, like what a waste of great artists. Right? Like he would do stuff like it'll be a fight scene and they're talking about getting coffee, you know, like the dialogue is doesn't really match what you actually see. But anyway, I digress. So just as we conclude, they are renumbering Batman in September after Jim Lee, Jeff Loeb, Hush 2. Chip Zdarsky just ended his run with Jorge Jimenez. Jorge Jimenez is doing a Superman story in the summertime, and then in the fall, he is returning to Batman with Matt Fraction with a #1. So Batman Volume 4 will be releasing sometime in September. I would say somewhere around Batman Day, because Batman Day is in September. So
That's a good point.
I can see that happening. But I don't really have any issues with the new design. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't look like it's far off what I've been seeing with Jorge Jimenez this whole time. We've seen all these Zernar costumes and stuff. So like, and then he had another costume back in the Joker War. So I mean, Jorge's been all over the place with his Batman costumes. So I'm not making a big deal out of whatever, you know, what we just saw here. Like this design, it's cool. It's not like it's not radical, right? It's not nothing. It's not anything like earth
Yeah,
shit.
it's pretty standard. You know, he didn't try to, go above and beyond. He didn't try to tweak it too
Yeah.
hard,
I
which I feel would have done a
it.
disservice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not mad at
Absolutely.
it. All right,
It's not 90s Batman with like 3.5 foot long
Kelly Jones.
owl.
Kelly Jones, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So now we're about to get to our next topic, our main topic. I'm a huge Batman fan, and my one prediction was when Mark and I were talking about art, and we were talking about Batman Volume 3 is the only issue number one is the only traditional composed art since the 1940 Volume 1 Batman #1. Court of Owls, it was done with blue lines and then pencil, so 2 separate boards on that. And then now we have Volume 4, and we all know Jorge Jimenez is Bobby Digital, so it's definitely I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good with that page we got during the what was it, the Comics Art Live this past fall. So I'm really happy about that. That was a come up. But yeah, anyway, so now we're getting to our next topic. There's a Stats Fans picks of the week, guys. And so basically all week long, gentlemen, people have been DMing me photos of things that they wanted to showcase and wanted to share. And so we're going to show things, and then you guys tell us what you think about what you see. So first off, Mr. D Claw last week, he was such a champion. The chats last week, we were talking about MegaCon. We were there. He was there. I didn't meet him. I wish I could have met him. But he was chiming in about his experience, and he wanted to share. He mentioned in the chat that he wanted to share a little bit of loot that he got at MegaCon, and so that's going to start it off. So we're going to start off with Mr. DeClaw. So this is what he got. This is some of what he got at MegaCon. Okay.
Ooh. Okay.
So we got a 5-pack. What y'all see? What comes to mind first? What y'all see here?
The Sam De La Rosa signed Venom Lethal Protector.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye too.
Yes.
I mean, it's all great. I mean, they're all gems. Don't get me wrong, but that's where the eyes went.
Straight to the and he mentioned that he got the Sam De La Rosa SIG at Mega. And then I see Frank Cho. It looks like in the top right corner. That looks like Frank Cho's SIG. And then I believe this is Greg Horn at the bottom with the Electra and Red Sonja. But then the Claw. You stymieing the 6 layer right here. Who's the signature on the red Sonja, the white cover with the green SIG? Who's that?
Yeah, I can't quite make that one out.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah, I'm
so
trying to think
I would
of who
definitely
was
like
there.
to know that one. So this is D-Claw 04. This is 5 books that he got signed over at MegaCon. I think he said he got like 30 something signatures. That's a nice haul. That's a nice. Oh, here we go. He just mentioned it. Jim Zub. He's part of Comic Sketch Art. Okay, have you guys heard of Jim Zub?
Yeah,
I know.
Yes,
Jim Zub.
I don't have any Jim in the collection, but I know who he is.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, so now we're moving on. Okay, so D-Claw, thank you so much for sharing. I told you I was going to do this. And then so now here's Tone Alone. This is Tone Alone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what y'all thinking about this?
So David Barron always does a good, nice remark right there, right?
Yep, that's David Barron. Who else y'all see?
And
there?
Is that a Scott Snyder remark?
Jenny Friesen, yep, and a Scott Snyder remark. So both correct. So we got Jenny Friesen on top. This is a Jenny Friesen cover. Mm-hmm. Batman Who Laughs, issue 6. And then we got the left-handed assassin David Barron on the left with the color remark. Okay, and
that's crazy. Yeah.
And then he got a Snyder remark because like that's crazy too. Like because like one thing I was gonna say was that Snyder's line at MegaCon, because he shows up only like starting on Saturday, there's a huge log jam. So
I can only imagine.
Getting little things like this is harder and harder to get. So like, and I'm looking at his signature here, and I just proved my own point. I'm looking at Scott Snyder's signature, and I'm seeing that this was done in 2019. That was the last year of the golden era. Okay, the last year of the golden era. You know, people were still riding on horsebacks and shit. You know what I mean?
Well, what era are we in now?
Oh my God, man! Oh man, that's
the Dark Ages.
Another
Dark Ages
for another show, Tony. What era are we in now? Jeez, but this Tone Alone, you know, this is a scrappy ass 6 layer here. So I know for a fact there's a story behind that Scott Snyder Batman Who Laughs remark. I just know that, especially knowing that this is 2019. And then he got Jenny Friesen. I wonder where he got Jenny Friesen. So yeah, okay, so there's that. But y'all approve of this? You guys approve?
Oh, A+. It's beautiful. I love the sketches. It's gorgeous. Very jealous.
There we go. Okay. Now this might be something that SCG might like. Now this is from the Endless collection here. This is a double page spread from
holy moly.
Lantern 80th anniversary. Okay.
Oh, smokes.
Yes, this is Doug Mankey.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys know, his unmistakable style. This is my boy Chris's piece. And believe it or not, this is a double page spread, but he has the whole, I think it's an 8-page story. He has the whole story. But
he's got the entire story. That's wild.
This is crazy, right? Like, am I the only one like wowzer on this?
No,
No,
that's. I wish I had it.
Yeah, I mean that's wall
yeah, Doug
worthy.
spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, I actually saw this in person last year in Kansas City. I had no idea somebody that I know was going to get it. That's what's crazy about this, because I'm like, this is wild. Sinestro and Hal dead center on the double pay spread. And shout out to the Endless Collection. The Stash family always bring heat, so we approve of this, right?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Hell
Okay,
yeah.
so all right, so this next one, we got Stash fam all over the world. This gentleman, Bat Detector 27, is from Spain, and
Ooh.
and this is the thing about this, like, because us from the States, we have a lesser degree of difficulty getting signatures from people in comics, right? Because it's American medium. So if you don't live in the States, getting signatures is difficult as heck, especially if you don't travel. So getting signatures from your hometown, right? And the fact that this dude got 2 Jeff Loebs, okay, in the wild, 2 Jeff Loebs in the wild, that's a high degree of difficulty living in Spain. That's high. You got to think about the degree of difficulty, and then you have, I want to say to the right, this you guys see this Batman 608 here, the second print, but it's kind of encased in a like a toy wrapper.
Yeah, the page punchers. Yep.
Yeah, the fact that he had that and had Jeff Loeb sign it, right? And then he had the Last Halloween, it looks like, to the left. And I believe that's the Matt Reeves Batman cover. I call it Twilight Batman. He has that. So I got to give my man Bat Detector props. And as we know, like, if you live like in a small town anywhere in the States, it's hard to get Jim Lee signatures and Bill Sienkiewicz's and crap like that, let alone Jeff Loeb. Jeff Loeb doesn't go to many shows. I know he's going to a lot of fan expos in recent years, but traditionally, no. So to get 2 Jeff Loebs in the wild in Spain, I think that's pretty impressive. All right, so here's another piece on a sketch cover. This is my man Diesel Dan Comics. This is a Witchblade. This is on a blank. Now I don't know if this is like I think that's an old school blank. I don't think that's like one of those new blanks.
Still dope.
It looks like, yeah.
Dope. That's what makes it dope.
Well,
the art. Say it again.
Which artist is that?
Oh, the artist.
Who can tell what artist that is?
Cafaro. Giuseppe Cafaro. I never heard of him, but I love this sketch. And I hit up my man Dan. I was like, yo, he works for Image. He does a lot of the social media stuff.
Oh yeah, I know who he is now. Yep.
And I was like, yo, dude, like, give me something your favorite Image book, give me something that's your favorite Image joint. And he hit me with this, and I was like, yo, that's what's dope. And knowing Dan, I already know there's a story behind this, already know. And that's the best thing about collecting, is when you have those gems where there's a story behind it. And so I know there's a story behind it. All right, so this next one, okay, this is heat right here. I know Jason's gonna like this one too. This is major. This is major coming up here. All right, 3 consecutive Jim Lee pages.
Jeez.
That's
What?
No wonder I can't find any in the wild. Everyone's buying them all.
Bruh.
One guy has
This is Grand Admiral Burtis. This is from Superman Unchained. Okay, and my man, Grand Admiral Burtis. I think he's probably the biggest Lex Luthor fan that I know of, because he goes hard for Lex Luthor, and he's a huge Jim Lee fan. I mean, I don't know who's
Lex
the
Luthor's
biggest
a
Jim
G.
Lee fan, because that's a cult. We know that Jim Lee runs a cult. Those Twitch dinners, they're cult dinners. Just letting you guys know, if you get invited to a Twitch dinner, make sure you let people know and timestamp your travels, because you might get converted at that Twitch dinner, and you might not ever be the same. Okay, so this is 3 consecutive pages of Superman Unchained featuring Lex Luthor, right? Jim Lee, Scott Snyder story. How did you guys feel about Superman Unchained?
I liked it. I don't recall it a whole lot. I mean, it came out almost 10 years ago?
Yeah.
A little more than that. I don't recall it, but from what I remember, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Oh, but 3 straight Jim Lee pages, that's kind of hard to do, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that degree of difficulty. And then to add insult to injury, he sent me 2 more Jim Lee pages. Now these are from Justice League. So one is a Justice League. So one is a Justice League Jeff Johns Jim Lee, and then the other is issue 4 of Superman Unchained. So he has 4 Superman Unchained pages. But 5 Jim Lee pages that I see total is pretty insane.
It's tough.
Mark, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Man, I can't even afford 1 Jim Lee page, man. So
This guy's got them all.
this guy has all of them, man. I really dug that Justice League run, though, man. So I'm not sure about you guys.
That was a good one.
I was kind of indifferent about Superman Unchained, but the Lex Luthor moments in that one, yeah, that's the reason why he got those pages, because Lex Luthor is a G.
Now here we go. My boy B-Town KJ, one of the biggest Flash fans I know. I had to throw some Flash stuff in here, and the first appearance of Mirror Master is that's pretty gangster.
Not cheap, man.
And then to get a Gabriel Delato 9.8 with a remark on it, especially after being at one MegaCon a couple weeks back, that's a high degree of difficulty too.
Did he get that at MegaCon?
Was brutal, huh?
Did he get that remark at MegaCon?
Absolutely not. He's been had this, and if I'm looking at this, it's looking like this was done in 2019. I'm looking at the slab. So yeah, he's been sitting on this for a hot minute. And KJ, this dude loves Flash and the Lotto. So you're not gonna see too many of these. And if you do see these listed, they're gonna be $400-$500 easy, especially at 9.8. What's funny about this, I'm kind of jealous because the Lotto Flash, that was the one book that I was going to get signed at MegaCon, but I didn't want to be in that crazy line for it, so I decided to pass. And then when he sent this to me, I was like, oh great, he actually has the one that I wanted to get. Of all the Lotto covers, he pulled the one that I was going to pay $30 for.
It's usually how it goes.
Yeah. I was like, great, of all the covers, man. But I don't want to downplay the Silver Age books. Especially when you get these Silver Age first appearance books. I give props to anybody that has that range where they kind of dabble in kind of a little bit of everything in the comics. And so we got a little, modern, some bronze and silver. And me, I'm a sucker for DC Silver. So kudos to KJ on that. And then Another guy from Spain, Crónicas de Gotham. Now, dig this. He has a Jeff Loeb. And what I like about this, Superman Batman Public Enemies was like one of my like things that made me fall in love with comics. And and then they ran into Jeff Johns and Jesus Marino, like in Argentina. Like, when does that happen? Like, how lucky do you have to be to run into Jeff Johns and have a Green Lantern #1? And then I'm gonna say that's Jesus Marino, maybe
On the
those
bottom.
remarks. I'm gonna say probably that's Jesus. But damn, like I said, high degree of difficulty. You run into a legend like Jeff Johns in freaking Argentina. That's pretty crazy. Like, like how, you know what I mean? That's like, oh, you had some random McDonald's in Sunnyvale, California, and you run into Jim Lee. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's you models that's what it's like, So yeah, and then last but not least, guys, I know some of you guys may have seen this on Instagram. It's quite a head turner. But my man Sammy Bat Fanatic just blew it up with this.
Oof.
Yeah,
man,
this is just insane.
Wild.
Okay, so
I don't know. They had a blank for 655.
Yes. Okay, so that was the Comic-Con exclusive for 2023. I got one.
Okay.
But what's crazy about this, guys? Okay, so the Joker piece we've seen, that's made an appearance on this live before. But this Batman was just recently acquired at MegaCon, and I actually saw this in person. And I'll tell you something, it looks better in hand. It looks digital in hand. It's crazy. And this dude did this
done within a day, right?
He did this in one day, like nothing. He was. Let me tell you something. Lieber Mayho was banging these out like hotcakes. Like, this dude is so good. I think Batman Statue Collector got a Two-Face from him, but there's a couple other people that got high quality Lieber Mayho art on the freaking spot. And
I was in that line, man. And I walked away with nothing, man. I just wanted to remark. I was like second. I was second on Saturday, second in line on Saturday, and I think I was maybe second on Thursday too, the first day. So I don't know how those people got art, man.
Man, you was snoozing, man. These dudes were actually getting it. There's no way like you can get a piece of art like this casually at a show. You got to be on it. You know what I mean? Like, excuse me. The people at MegaCon, I would say, I haven't been to Heroes yet, but for it to have that huge celebrity factor there and all the other stuff that a major Comic-Con has, it had a lot of comic book fans there. They're, there for comics and there for the same things that we're there for. And so you have to really put in the work to get what you wanted. Because if you're thinking about it, there's about 10 to 15 other dudes thinking about it too. And you got to outwit them, outsmart him. Now, Sam, I'm not going to let his secrets out there, but he's no amateur when it comes to getting stuff like this. So I'm not surprised that he was one of the first people at the show to get anything from Lieber Mayho. So, but he got this Batman, and the Joe. I just have to say that this is probably my two favorite sketch covers. Like, to be honest with you, because Lieber Mayho is in my top 5 Batman artists. And so seeing something like this is just absolutely breathtaking. And yeah, Comic Cap Collectibles, thank you for joining us, man. We're just going through the Stash Fan picks, and this is our last entry. Bat Fan Addict killing things with this Lieber Mayho combo of Batman and the Joker. Guys, okay, so what are your thoughts on this? Yeah. This is just overkill, right?
Oh yeah, amazing.
That's a tough one to beat. It really is. Shout out to him for getting it. Double shout out to Lee for just putting him out like he's a machine.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of tonight's show, and that's really we're talking about timeless comics, all time comics, however you want, whatever synonym you want to describe it. And why are we doing this? Why did I want you guys to do this? And it's mainly because it gives us the opportunity to kind of give our philosophy on what we think is key, what's important, what's symbolic, whatever, right? And then for me, I also wanted to know, will there be some overlap? Like, are we, do we think kind of on the same lines on certain things, right? So if so, because we're all expert collectors here. So if more than one of us pull a same book, that book has to be significant. It has to be. You know what I mean? Because we're well versed in comic book history, well read, and all that stuff. So for everyone out there watching tonight, we all four of us are going to share 5 comic books that we all believe are timeless, meaning that it could be something from the past or something that's more recent that we think is going to be timeless in the future. So that's another flip too. Okay, but generally speaking, like the graphics at the bottom of the screen, we'll all agree, right? These 3 issues that you guys see at the bottom are all timeless comics, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
All iconic covers. All
iconic covers, iconic stories, iconic first appearance, all of the above, right? And so this graphic at the bottom is an example of what we're talking about. But here's the thing, and this is what I find interesting and fascinating about comic books. There's comic book collecting, and then there's comic book significance, right? Sometimes there's things that are significant, that is timeless, that might not reflect in collector value too. It might not be like a key or something people are that's well sought after, but as far as the narrative, right, as far as the storylines and the character development, it might have some significance. So I'm really curious because I didn't really give you guys too much prompting on like the criteria, because I wanted your spidey senses to activate naturally and to see what we can do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go one at a time, one book at a time, in whatever order. It doesn't have to be like in like descending or ascending order. It's just whatever you think is timeless. And for the record out there, okay, we are not saying that these 20 books that we're sharing are the only timeless books. There is way more books.
Yeah, you only gave us 5.
Say it again.
Said you only gave us 5, so
right, exactly. And I know Mark had issues narrowing his stack down, and me because I kind of came up with the topic. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to fulfill, so I just wanted to share the ones that I thought had a cool story behind, and I'm curious to see if we have some overlap. So that's my main thing. So all right, gentlemen, you guys ready to dive in? Who wants to go first?
Let's go.
All right, so Mark, you want to go first?
Yeah.
All right.
If we have one that does overlap, is everyone gonna, or is someone else gonna say, "Oh, I got that book too"?
Yeah, we're gonna mention it. We'll mention it, but we'll mention it naturally. We'll mention it naturally, but we'll definitely. We're not gonna revise our list. Okay, so let me put you up. Boom.
So this might be, well, if anything, I would have brought out the first issue, but Kingdom Come, like, this was one of my first books that I read. Just looking at it, flipping through it, it catches your eye. Alex Ross, I think he was the one that first came up with the concept, and they paired him along with Mark Waid, who's an encyclopedia DC
Hold the book
knowledge,
up so they can see it too.
comic knowledge in general. But Kingdom Come is timeless, man. It's about the future, you know. So hopefully we don't get to this point where everything just becomes an apocalypse and everything. But I love this book. This book is dear to me.
Kingdom Come, gentlemen. Okay, so let me bring it back to the panel. Kingdom Come. Now I gotta say something about Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come is a story that when I first read it, I was like, holy crap, this is good. Like, it represented to me the pinnacle of what you can do with the comic book. At the time, I was like, dude, you can't do any like this shit right here. It is like a movie. Like, this is crazy. Okay, but according to you guys, so you know, that's we're all gonna react to each other's pick. Kingdom Come, is that a timeless story, timeless cover? What do y'all thought? Yay, nay?
That's a good pick.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kingdom Come, to me, it won a heap of awards. And you can't tell. I mean, we interviewed Mark Waid last year, and he said that, you know, that's his most recognizable work. So when people talk to him, they talk to him more about that than any other thing. And he said that Superman Birthright is a close second. But Alex Ross, you can't tell Alex Ross's story without freaking Kingdom Come, that's for sure. I mean, that's his, you know, masterpiece in my book. I mean, I know he's gotten better as an artist, and rightfully so. But geez, like, if you read that if you've never read comics and you started reading comics, and then they gave you that, you know, knowing, you know, you already know about Superman, Wonder Woman, and everybody, and you see that, it's pretty good. Next,
I can
is it
take
me again, or
here.
is it someone else?
huh?
I can go.
You know, it's one at a time. Yep. So all right. So Tony, I'm about to blow you up. Bam.
So I picked this one, you know, obviously because I believe it's iconic, but I also think the team behind the book is also iconic. And during this time frame, I mean, they were working on everything together. And it's funny because every time I see them, like at a con, they always put their booths right next to each other. I don't know if they do that, or if the convention does that, or they just know that they're going to get this person, they're going to get that person to sign books. So I went with Reign of the Supermen, Dan Jurgens and Brett Breeding.
Okay.
Very iconic in the Superman lore. And again, not only is the story iconic, but the team is iconic. These two are always doing Superman stuff together, so I love it.
Man,
I thought about pulling out that.
Yeah, I did too. But my question is, how is it that the Signature King does not have a Brett Breeding signature on there?
It is. He's on there. Yeah.
Okay, I missed it. I just saw Dan Jurgens. I thought
he's right up at the top. It's kind of faint. It's like silver ink, right above here. Yeah.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's small.
It's
It blends in really with the.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. How dare you question? No, I'm just.
SCG, what you got? SCG, what you got, man?
Okay, so I tried to put a very tight filter because, as you were saying, this is very hard. So stuff that's relevant not only to a comic nerd, but relevant to like pop culture in general.
Wow.
And I tried to not have overlap. So we'll see if that, because I knew there was going to be some heavy DC stuff tonight. Okay.
There we go. Yeah. I knew it, man. I knew he was going to come with the variables.
All right. So let's just start off. Giant Size X-Men #1. X-Men was a failing title. They reboot it, come out with a whole new diverse team. Super still fairly rare at this point in comic history. But I mean, because they took basically got a mutant from every continent on the earth. This, of course, helped catapult this small Canadian guy into superstardom. And these characters are still known today, whether it's from the X-Men 92 cartoon or you played the arcade game back in the day. Most of these people recognize most of the people who made their first appearance here.
Wow.
I almost pulled this book out too. Yeah, good choice.
Wow. All I gotta say is wow. That's like major heat. Like I'm a DC guy, and I know the significance of that joint. Like people will skip work to go get that book from the comic book shop when it's available. That's insane. Giant Size X-Men has made an appearance on Stash Wars. I like that. I give you that. Okay, me. I'm starting off. I'm thinking iconic. I'm bouncing all around. As you guys know, I'm Six Layer kind of rolls around in the realm of DC just because of that's just kind of how I grew up. So, excuse me. This first one though, I believe all of these are iconic. So I believe that none of these books will be something that's like obscure or anything like that. So I'm gonna start off with this one. Was just chatting with this dude earlier today, and I want to bust it out. Bam! Daryl Banks on this iconic Green Lantern 49. Okay, Sector 2814. Stand up. Okay, represent. Sector 2814. Stand up. Let's represent, baby. Let's represent.
One of the best.
I love this cover. You guys know what's up with this, right? This ain't
one of the best covers of all time, man.
This is insane. He said that this was like one of the easiest covers he had to do as far as not having to go through so much red tape. Like it was like very easy to compose. Like they approved the idea pretty much from the jump. This was meant to be. This has been homaged a few times. And so that's another sign of timelessness when they start homaging the death out of things. This was homaged. It was even homaged within Green Lantern. Okay. So I had to give a shout out to the OG Daryl Banks. Got this signed by Daryl Banks last year at Memphis Comic Expo. SCG, you were there. And and then I've had this signed by Ron Mars years ago, I think like 2018 or something like that. But meeting Daryl Banks for the first time in Memphis was a treat. I had to give him a shout out. But DC fans, GL fans around the world, around the universe, knows what's up with Green Lantern 49, a timeless cover. You guys agree?
Absolutely. Green Lantern, it's a big story for him.
I almost picked a book very close to that issue, not to spoil anything for anybody else that might bring it. Myself.
Okay.
Because of the storyline. Yeah.
All right. So since you won, you going next, Jason.
I'm on again.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Round 2.
All right. So everybody is more familiar with geekdom nowadays because of the MCU movies and all that kind of stuff. But even before then, this was a huge crossover in the 90s that spanned across the books and thought to make waves. Certainly put that purple guy, not talking about Grimace, but talking about Thanos.
There we go.
On the market.
Yeah.
So this
982. That's incredible.
Well, this book right here, I got signed in 2019 by Jim Starlin and Rubenstein. Had it raw. And George Perez's last signing that he did for Clan McDonald Comics, I sent it to them and he signed it.
Dang, yours made the cut because not everybody's got theirs that submitted got theirs signed and stuff.
So this is one of the last books, obviously, he signed. Not to mean it was the last one, literally, but the last batch, certainly. And I sent it in, and it came back a 9.8 after all that time. So that was kind of amazing. But, so signature glory right there. But, yeah, I mean, everybody knows who Thanos is now, even if they're not a comic person. So
that's incredible that it's a 9.8. It would spend some time out of your hands. You don't know what's going on with it. It was in the mail, and every time I send books in the mail, in my head I see that opening scene from Ace Ventura, where he's just kicking that package all the way down the street. It's my book, and I think it's 9.8. Now I'm coming back with like a 1.5 book, but
the other funny thing about that is that they accidentally marked it for express grade. And it shows up at my doorstep, and I'm like, "Where's my other ones?" And they go, "Oh, we accidentally marked yours express grade. We haven't even got your other ones back. It's a freebie. It's on us." And so I got that back before the other ones came back. So it was pretty dope. But my original cover had the horror story of having a tape pull right down here. And so when I bought this copy to get specifically signed, for it to come back in 9.8 with all three of them on there, it's just one of the favorites in my collection for that reason.
Insane. Mark, what you got, man?
I got I wanted to bring diversify a little bit. I have 2 Marvel, 2 DC, and then 1 indie. But this is probably one of my favorite Marvel stories. Fearful Symmetry, Jim DeMatteis and Mike Zeck on here, and then Bob McLeod inking. So we interviewed Bob McLeod. But I read this as a kid, man, and I always thought that this was really like a step away from the regular Spider-Man stories. And it's very controversial the way that Craven died, but I think J.M. DeMatteis gave it a lot of respect. And just the Mike Zeck art, man.
Yeah, got to work on the glare. Try to move it so it's not glare. Yeah, let's get a close up.
Just the Mike Zeck art, man. Just
so I'm not familiar with this, guys. Let me know. Like I said, I'm ignorant.
So the other title for it is Craven's Last Hunt. So if you know that one, Craven.
You never read Craven's Last Hunt, Mike?
Yeah, that's good.
Say that again,
yeah,
what?
Fearful.
I said you never read Craven's Last Hunt?
Mike doesn't read anything that's Marvel, man.
I mean, that's like an epic Spider-Man story. I mean,
it's great.
Saying, it's very dark, which is opposite of what Spidey usually is. Yeah,
so. Man,
I keep on telling him if he's gonna read one Spider-Man story, Fearful Symmetry.
Dude, like that's the one time my narcolepsy kicked in when you start talking about the Marvel stuff, bro.
J.M. DeMatteis, man, Mike Zeck. I don't know what else is gonna sell you it.
All right, Your Majesty, you're up, man.
This next one, I kind of had the same thought. It was tough to pick a single book. In fact, this person just had a very iconic book published that I'm still trying to get my hands on. And it was kind of like a quote style guide, if that gives you a hint. So, and I think that's a testament to him and his artwork and his ability to draw consistently. Back in the day, people coming on board, they would look at this guy's art and said, this is the standard, what we want in our comics. These colors, these designs, everything. And that is the legendary Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Not necessarily the book, just the man himself is very iconic. And yes, I'm definitely going to get him to sign the style guide probably this year. So, he's classic characters, and I think it's great that he got a style guide. It's wild that that they would do that for him. Especially he's getting a little old. You know what I mean? He's not going to be around forever. So get it while you can. Hats off to Mr. Garcia Lopez.
What I like about that particular cover that you had Garcia Lopez sign is that it had like damn near all of the heroes on it.
Yeah,
and it kind of represents kind of like that style guide vibe as far as like him designing, all of those characters and like having them all in one image, or the majority of them in one image. And him sign, I thought it was good signature placement as well, man. Royal the foils.
I knew a foil had to come somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So I'm last, right? I'm last. Okay, now this one, guys. I had to go with the Silver. I had to throw one Silver Age in there. People don't know me to have like Silver Age, but I got a ton of Silver Age stuff. Of the stuff that I like. Batman, and then try to get DC keys. This is. Let me think about this. If we're talking about DC Universe, right? This is probably top 5 most important, maybe even top 3 most important DC Universe comic books. Here we go. Now I got y'all attention. Flash 123. Yeah. Am I lying?
Ooh. No, that's a
good.
great description.
Am I lying?
Carmen Infantino, Gardner Fox, man. The original creator of Jay Garrick. Great.
First time they met, right?
Yep. Most importantly, this is the first appearance of a multiverse in comics. Okay. So this is Earth 1, Earth 2 meeting for the first time, but this is the first time now all superhero comics and comics abroad have some kind of multiverse, parallel reality, whatever jazz mataz. Well, this started it off. This is actually comic book history if you really want to be, straightforward with that. The OG Flash and Barry Allen meet for the first time. So this is like one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Silver Age DC. I would say the only one I would want more than this, and I don't have, I would say Green Lantern #1. And I'm not gonna say the showcases because there's no way, those are like way out of reach. So I'm not gonna bring in the showcase, but like the stuff from the 60s, I would say Green Lantern #1 or The Brave and the Bold, the first appearance of the Justice League.
28.
Yeah. Like that one. Yeah, but this here, shy of those, this one here, and for me, like as a Flash fan, like other than the first appearances, the Rogues, the first appearance of the various Rogues and Barry Allen, this is it right here. This is DC, and so yeah, we all in agreement. This is iconic.
Very iconic.
Okay,
Mike, that's the one that I was debating about. I have that issue right here, and it didn't make the cut though. It didn't make the cut. You want to see what I switched it out for?
Oh no! Okay, yeah, you're next. What did you switch it out for?
Another thing that I think is historic, and I don't think they've ever done anything that's close to the metrics of this book. Crisis on Infinite.
Okay.
Mark
Yeah.
Quinn, George Perez. I read this one as a kid too, man. And the word crisis means so much, Everything goes to hell, The villains get together, worlds are dying, Flash dies, Supergirl dies, the death of so many other characters. I think Dove dies in here too. But I think this is the epitome of crossovers. Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't think any other crossover has really reached the status of this book. So much that they've used that word crisis. Well, that word was used before, but it was really cemented when this book came out.
Great, iconic, but guys, I'm kind of stymied here. You have Flash 123, and you knocked it for Crisis #1.
Well, and then I'm thinking about Timeless, though. The whole.
Well, I'm saying, like you said, the crossover. That's the first ever crossover. Flash 23 is the first
the
ever
magnitude,
crossover.
The magnitude of the whole story, Crisis on it.
You can't have.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
You can't have Earth X without Flash 123.
Now you get to see another book. That's
true.
main thing.
That's true. We get to see another book.
Right there, you go. I'm curious. I'm curious. Let me know, guys. No, because what I'm curious about is what's the deciding factor. So, okay, did anyone think? Because now I'm curious. Before we go on, and you're going to be next, Tony. Did anyone think they would see a Flash 123 tonight?
No.
Okay, so that's why I'm confused. I'm like, if I was one of you guys and I had that book, I would for sure think that would be somewhere in the upper echelon because it's like a iconic, story. All right, Tony, that was interesting. That was interesting, and I love. We got to do these a lot more often because that was interesting. All right, Tony.
Next up, again, another. I don't know what to pick because I really wanted to include this person in our conversation tonight. So what do I do? I've got a ton of it. Honestly, I just picked my favorite story. Not necessarily that the story is timeless, but the person will live in comic books. It's on Mount Rushmore. It's on my Mount Rushmore. It's I don't know how else to explain it, but it's Jeff Johns.
Oh,
hands
Jeff
down.
Johns.
Yeah. He went from comics to TV, and now he's going to start doing his own thing at Geiger, back to comics, and that's probably going to lead off into TV. So I have to include Jeff Johns in here somewhere. It's a no-brainer. I enjoyed meeting him for the first time. I look forward to doing it again someday, hopefully soon. Not another 30-some years without it. But Jeff Johns, absolutely iconic.
Man, you know what's crazy? I'm shocked that I didn't have any Jeff Johns in none of my stack. That's crazy. So I think the common gods had to make sure that made it in the cut. And for all the people that are on YouTube right now, please smash the like button. Smash that joint, please. Smash the like button. Please subscribe to all of our channels, man. We're having, especially if you're having a good time. I'm having a great time learning about all the different philosophies. We're talking about timeless comics, timeless moments, timeless stories, and everybody is sharing 5 books. I think that was our second entry. And I think Mark went, right?
Yeah.
No.
Jason or you, Mike?
Yeah. So this will be our third. Mine and yours. We haven't gone, Mike.
There we go. Yeah. So you go ahead, Jason. All right. Boom.
Okay. So somebody say something about Jeff Johns. No.
Is that from volume 1 or 2?
Volume 2. Yeah, it's from issue 10.
Okay, so fresh art, man.
I figured that this book was going to come up, so I want to go ahead and move it to higher in the stack because I wanted to beat anybody that would bring it by. But the 90s found people killing or maiming their characters as a way to increase sales. This particular book was part of the 90s craze, comic book boom and bust, as it were, because people thought that if they would get this book, which some come in a black plastic bag, they would be rich. This is none other than Superman 75. This is by Jurgens and Breeding there. Newsstand copy, classic cover with the fall of an iconic hero. And so, again, this made the news back then. This was all the rage. So Superman's one of those characters that transcends, comic book nerdom. And certainly the story has been told via cartoons and so on and so forth. So
I love
those signatures pop on that thing. They're incredible.
They do. I like the way they placed them too. So.
Oh yeah.
The Royal Foils, we're thinking alike, man. I was just thinking, man, what a well placed book as far as signatures, and then the fact that they matched with the white on the black. And then I have that book not in my stack, but it's placed differently than yours. And I'm loving that, man. That's fantastic. Okay, just off the rip, because You brought up an excellent point, Jason. Does anybody have that book in their stack?
It almost made my cut when I said that.
I thought about it.
Yeah, when Tony brought out that other book, that's the book that I was talking about. I almost reached, and that specific book, I almost reached for that one.
Man Cave Collectibles is in the house. Thank you so much, man. We're gonna be doing this every Friday, man. We got all kind of stuff. Just Stash Wars live every Friday. We're gonna get you guys ready for pretty much every convention across the country. Next week, we're gonna be previewing C2E2 and WonderCon. So just giving you our preview next week. Right now, we're talking about Timeless Comics, and I think it's my turn. Now, I'm going to do the one. I'm going to take a page from SEG's book, and I'm going to do the one I think somebody has a chance of having in their stack. And if I was to guess who might have this, I would say Mark. I would say Mark. If I was to predict,
I don't think so, man. I have two more books, and I don't think you have either of these.
Okay, I'm going to predict that Mark has this in his stack. Okay, and that is Dark Knight Returns, #1.
Yeah.
Wow.
Signed by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson.
I thought about it.
Okay, so no one has this book in their stack.
Nope.
Woo! We're on fire. We're on fire. This is iconic. Somebody who did Batman after this was influenced by Batman. I don't care what influenced by this Batman story. I don't care who it is. Jim Lee. He said it himself that this was like a revelation, as far as like him wanting to draw comics in his life, when he was at that crossroads in college. This is, truth be told, I think Dark Knight Returns is overrated in a way as a story, as compared to year one. But I think that the imagery, like this cover, is so flippin' iconic. And correct me if I'm wrong, SEG, didn't this cover the OA sell for like $2 million?
I don't remember what the cover sold for, but I know several pages have come up last year on this. And
I think the cover sold for like $2 million, like 2 years ago. And, and this is a painting, so it looks smack dead like this without the trade dressing. Insanity. So Roundtable, is this an iconic book?
Of course it is.
Absolutely. It's definitely a no-brainer.
No brainer. Okay, so Mark, go ahead. What you about to say?
It wasn't in my stack because what you said, though, because you said that you like year one better, and I was like, well, yeah, I do like reading year one, and then I was thinking, well, year one's not as iconic as Dark Knight Returns, so it just didn't make the cut, man, on this round.
Yeah, for me, my feelings aside about Dark Knight Returns, don't get me wrong. I thought it's not a bad story. I just think that as someone reading it years later, I was like a little kid when Dark Knight Returns came out. There was no way I was like in the, what they call it, the zeitgeist of Dark Knight Returns during the 80s. I wasn't in none of that, so I read it after the fact. And sometimes it's good to do that, to consume something after the hype dies down, because then you could really have an objective scope on things. And so buying the graphic novel of Dark Knight Returns and year one in the same day, and so reading them back to back is, I thought year one was the superior story. And art-wise too. I thought Mazzucchelli just killed it, and I thought that was peak Frank Miller for me. But Dark Knight Returns is a icon. The covers are iconic. I love the iconic moments. I like the standoff between Joker and Batman and all of that stuff. But as SCG just proved right here, I was saying a few years ago, right? So 2-something million. See, I just knew that off the dome. Man.
Because he's got it in the back. He's got it in the back. He remembers what he paid for.
No way.
million.
I was like, whoa, because I was tripping because I remember when Jim Lee sold the X-Men, for 4 or 5 covers or whatever, and I was like, dude, people, those sold for mills too, and I was like, okay, this OA thing is crazy. All right, so we're in our penultimate round. Okay, so we should be on our 4th book, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna hit SEG. Boom.
All right. So late 80s, early 90s, 4 brothers learn certain skills from a furry creature.
Okay.
Now, this book was meant to be an homage to Daredevil, or these characters and their backstory was meant to be an homage to Daredevil, and was done when the indie comic scene was rising up. But it took off.
Yeah.
No one could have expected it. But the bigger thing that put their footprint in history, as it were, was a cartoon that would launch a few years later with several tweaks. Because if you read the original, they were much more adult-oriented than what the cartoon was, obviously. And so for this, we got TMNT number 1. This is the Archie. So this is the first issue where they have colored bandanas to differentiate them between their brothers, not just their weapons. And then this is also the first appearance of Bebop and Rocksteady, which would be, people that would show up constantly in the cartoon. So this is the first appearance there. So
first appearance in the Crown too. DC Homer, I have that book signed by Kevin.
Of course he does.
and that almost made the cut because I was trying to be like, you know what? I don't want to be the DC Homer. Then I was like, nah, man, I gotta be true to me, man. I gotta be true to me.
That's what I was trying to throw that in there too. So, but I mean, you think about what Peter Laird, who held out for, made from Nickelodeon when they sold the rights to the Turtles. I mean, who would have thought?
Man, like, that's crazy. It almost made the cut, Jason. That's crazy. But so it was meant to be. The comic gods needed that represented tonight. Okay.
I wonder if we'll go like 0 for 5, right? So in other words, no duplicates.
No duplicates. So far. All right, Mark, what you got?
Man, I thought Jason had me in that first, in his first spiel, in the first half of his spiel, because he is his 4 brothers, and then he got me with the top eye, a furry creature. I thought he was talking about the same book that I had. I was like, furry creature. I was like, is that their mother or something? But brothers, I thought he was talking about this with Jaime, Beto, Mario, and then there's more brothers, but they're not included in the book. But
wow, you didn't think Turtles? You thought the Hernandez brothers?
I thought he was talking about Love and Rockets. I was like,
holy crap.
I thought he was talking about the Hernandez brothers.
Wow.
But,
you're funny.
But Love and Rockets, man, timeless. If you read this now, it holds up. It's in the Smithsonian, man. And this beat out Sin City. I was going to have an indie book, and, I was going to put Frank Miller on the list. Sin City's my thing. Or it would have been Hellboy, but this beat it out. If you read this now, it still holds up. It's still ongoing. They're still putting out Love and Rockets today after 40 years. So, and it's historical. It's in the Smithsonian, I believe in the Museum of American Culture.
And that's the OG first print, Love and Rockets?
This is the first print that they did with this cover. There's like a precursor to this that was in black and white, and they stapled it together, and it was on newsprint. But this is the updated version.
So when did that come out? When was that printed?
I believe 1982.
Okay, so that's like the first like official like one. Okay.
This is what
Not the
Fantagraphics
underground
put out.
one, the underground one. Okay. All right. Tony.
Well, great minds think alike. We almost had our first, dual issue here, but I have to agree that these people are very iconic, and I went with some Ninja Turtles.
Oh, whoa.
Okay.
Yeah. Got a nice Kevin Eastman signature on here. And this book, obviously the Ninja Turtles are very iconic, but this book is extra special to me. It was the first signature I collected myself from Kevin Eastman, the first time I met Kevin Eastman, and my first witnessed slab. So lots of firsts with this book. And what's great about this book, it's the training manual. So growing up, I got to thumb through it and learn what weapons and moves to use on my other siblings, like the Ninja Turtles would do. So Kevin Eastman is responsible for me, and I was in timeout a lot, with my Ninja Turtle weapons. So I had to see him, had to get it signed, and that's why the Ninja Turtles themselves and Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird are very iconic. But we've already agreed that they were, so there really isn't a debate.
So what turtle were you when you were a kid?
Probably a lot of Donatello, because I could just go outside and get a stick and just, cause a bruise.
Those Solstice
Purple bandana turned into a purple crown.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The Solstice productions are interesting because they spell Michelangelo wrong, and because each one of them have their own book.
Yeah, training manual. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the one that's for all of them. That's why I did the thing. Yeah.
And so, they, but back then they weren't thinking it was still going to be a big hit, right? They were just getting a little licensing money. So,
Yep.
Good book.
I don't know those.
You always
existed,
remember your
man.
first, Tony.
So we got Ninja Turtles in round 4 by 2 panelists. That's to let you guys know that.
Yeah, I think that's close enough.
Iconic.
Yeah, it's pretty close. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
I think that's cool, and I like the story behind your pick, Tony. It being your first ever SIG. I mean, so that's literally a crown jewel, as you say, right? Like that's your first one. That's when you were a prince, and now you're
yeah. It's learning the ropes of how to rule my kingdom. And real quick, like when I was a kid, I had to get a special medical procedure done, but it was done at I was the very first person to have this procedure done inside of a tent outside. They had to do it outside. I don't know why. It wasn't not that special, but the news came and they covered the story and they're asking me questions, and I was this little kid and I was just like, these are my turtles. You know what I mean? So there's video evidence from it was 89. I had the procedure done. Me talking about my Ninja Turtles.
Are you the I like turtles kid?
No, way before that. Way before that.
All right, so I'm about to round out round 4, and now we're in the Batman world. I did some GL, I did some Flash. You saw my Dark Knight Returns. Now we're about to round things out all with Batman, and you can't have, to me as a DC fan, you can't talk about DC comic art in general in the history. I'm talking about the annals of DC Comics, and not talk about Neil Adams. Okay, so Neil Adams is not only to me, pound for pound, the greatest, most influential Batman artist of all time. He's influenced so many people, but the Krusty Bunker and that whole legacy is just unmatched as far as the era and just what came out of it. So with that said, what is Neil Adams' most iconic Batman cover, a man of 1,000 covers. Which one is the most iconic?
251.
Do we have to answer
Say it
that?
again?
Oh, was that a rhetorical question or were you
No,
having a-
answer. Which one? Answer it.
251?
It's a 251. What else? Did
Uh,
everybody agree? You got another ones. You know, there's
yeah, I think that's the most iconic.
Which one?
251 or Green Lantern, Green Arrow. What is it?
I'm
76.
saying Batman.
Oh.
Batman.
Oh, Batman.
What's
Then
the
it's
Ra's al
251.
Ghul cover? I forget which one that
Ra's al
is.
Ghul one,
Yep.
right? But absolutely right, my guys. Batman 251, and it's so clean. It's so clean. This is the first book I ever got signed by Neil Adams, and now I got like over 50 Neil Adams signatures, but this was number 1 of 50. I never forget meeting Neil Adams at LA Comic-Con. I think this was 2018 or something like that. Okay. And he was $20 a sig. Okay. That was
20.
cheap. He was
20.
20.
I
Yeah,
know.
you saying 20, right? Like when he passed away, he was like
I saw him at 100, man.
Oh, you saw him at 100, so he must have inflated since then. Okay, so but at this time, like I said, 2019 was the last year of the Little House on the Prairie, right? This is 2018. So Neil was $20. That was high for then. Okay. So I go to Neil, I wait in line, like I go see Neil. This is my first time ever meeting him. And then I didn't know how much he cost. You know, I was thinking like $10 or something. So I'll pull out, $10 out of my pocket, just automatically thinking that's what it's gonna be. And then he's like, that'll be $20. I was like, oh, whoa, $20. He goes, hey, I'm a legend. And that just cracked me up, dude. And so like that's why I love this book, because whenever I think of Neil, I think of this book, and I think of that time. I was like, because this dude, he will toot his own horn, and sometimes you got to do that though. Sometimes you got to let people know, hey man, like, hey, you got to pay me, dude. And just the real tangent, this was also during a time where it was the big crisis of conscience. To charge or not to charge? That is the question for the signatures, right? Like that was a big conundrum around 2018, 2019, right? And there was all these theories as to why artists were charging. Oh, because people are flipping, right? Yeah, but at the same time, as I said last week, hey man, it was bound to happen. They were gonna charge at some point. Nothing lasts forever. Like just know that, right? So you want to blame it on the flippers, if you want, but really they were gonna, because like Common Sketch Art was already out in 2017. Okay, so they were already, that was letting us know that was foreshadowing today, pretty much. Now you go to a show, it's pretty much like gang blocks. You got the Common Sketch Art gang right here, the Essential Sequential gang. That's pretty much what Artist Alley is. And so Neil Adams, he would say like, hey, as far as charging, he was like, look, charge your price. Don't care what somebody does after. Don't complain. He's like, I tell artists all the time, don't complain about what you do with your signature after you sign it. You got to be at peace with it. But if he's like, that's why I charge at a premium, because like, look, I don't care what you do after, I got paid. You want to flip it, dance on top of it, do whatever you want. I got paid. And that's the kind of man Neil was. Neil, this dude, like he had a shop where I lived, like right around the corner, Krusty Bunker. And like, dude, like to see this dude manually count his money on a spiral bound notebook, that's just inspiring. To see somebody, forget QuickBooks, all that. No, I'm adding all my stuff up.
He's got one of those calculators that shoot a receipt out.
He's like, dude, I've been doing this. He's like, I've been doing this since 1950. I forgot. He's like, I've been doing it this way. Like, I know exactly how much money I make every time I go to sleep. I'm like, damn, that's dedication. But anyway, I had to go on my Neil Adams rant. Rest in peace. I miss Neil. He's one of the greatest. And SCG, you were right. This I had to show. That's why I'm keeping it up. This is, I feel, Neil Adams' most iconic Batman cover. Now, I don't know how you guys ordered this, but I don't know if the last one is like the most iconic or what you guys, how you guys did your continuum with your 5 selections. So I'm curious. Does anybody want to go first for the final choice?
I'll go first. I'll bite the bullet.
All right, Royal of Foils. Let's go.
Yeah. So this last one is, it's not iconic to DC, but it is iconic to this character, and it's iconic to me because the writer and the cover artists are one of my favorite people in DC right now, and I went with the Power of Shazam #1, signed by Jerry Ordway. This story is iconic in the Shazam lore. So it's, I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's a lot of references to his time with Wiz Comics. And it's pretty funny how they worked them in there. So that's what kind of I like about these stories. They pay homage to where they come from and looking forward to the future. And Power Shazam does that one really well. One of my favorite stories, and I've got what's cool about it is I got all the merch that came with it too. Like back in the day, each retailer was sent like a packet of just stuff, and I got all the stuff. So Power of Shazam #1.
Bam. Shazam, I should say, not bam, Shazam. And what would a countdown be without the Signature King throwing in a Shazam book? That was your only one.
I try to work one in every time. I really do.
You do, like you are true to form. I was like, okay, I'm waiting on it. I was like, when is it coming? Is it coming at the beginning or come at the end? And you hit it at the end with the Shazam book. But it
worked.
The thing that stands out to me that's gonna keep chafing my ass is the Jerry Orway sig until I meet the guy. My #1 reason for going to Baltimore last year, he was on the bill. He ended up canceling, and that hurt. That really hurt. So anytime you flash a freaking Jerry Orway in my face, I'm gonna take it.
Don't hate, appreciate.
Yeah,
I'm trying. All right, Mark. Okay, this is your final one. I'm curious. You surprised me with the Love and Rockets. I didn't even know you had that. So that's pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
I think this one's more known, and this one's a banger. I think this is probably the most expensive out of all the ones I've chosen. I think it's concurrent with the hype right now. And this guy needed to be on my list more than Frank Miller. Like, if you watch the channel, I'm a big Frank Miller fan, but I'm even more of a Jack Kirby fan. And this one, Fantastic Four 49, I think it's the most. Well, there's a big marker thing right there where I guess they're selling it for $6, but this issue is one of the most important issues within this run. It's the Galactus story. This is the first full appearance of Galactus, and this is the second appearance of Silver Surfer, and it was all leading up to issue 50. This 3-part story, and this whole run, man, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, Jack Kirby really put in the work and the art in this whole run. But I think this is the ultimate issue of this run.
Man, all right, Mark coming in with some Marvel Silver Age, man. Okay, man, you did hit him with a, that was a very unpredictable 5. That was a very unpredictable 5. You threw in Crisis. I guess the comic gods had to be in there. George Perez had 2 books in this countdown. I thought that was cool. He's one of my favorite all time. So that's crazy. Okay, man. All right, some Kirby. He had some Kirby, a Kirby comic in Prime. That's crazy. All right, SEG, your 5th and final selection.
So I almost did not pick this. Well, I'll say that in a second. So this particular book is a controversial book in the sense that some say that it is the first appearance and some say it is the second appearance. I say it's the third appearance, which is another story altogether.
Okay.
But I almost did not pick this book because it was the show graphic. We got Incredible Hulk.
Oh.
Signed by Roy Thomas. You notice I'm trying to put a few SIGs in here, trying to show some SIG love.
Whoa, yeah, I appreciate this.
So, yep. And so it is missing the Marvel value stamp. You know, Shauna the She-Devil is responsible for more degrading of comics than any other Marvel value stamp in history.
The stamp, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I first cover appearance of Wolverine, definitely a classic Hulk cover. And there you go.
Man, I love the fact that you shared that. I didn't know if that was going to make it on a cut, but that is the thumbnail. That's an image on the thumbnail of tonight's live. And all right, it had to make the cut. You're absolutely right. It is the first cover appearance of Wolverine. You know, I'm not a Marvel guy, but I do know a little bit about comic book lore, a little bit. And so I was able to see the Hulk 180 image of Wolverine, and it's a splash page, bro. Like, come on. Like, it's that's an appearance. If that's not an appearance, I don't know what is.
Well,
like, it's not like Damian Wayne's first appearance where he's like, oh, that's my dad.
In the shadow?
You know? Yeah, like, it ain't like one of those.
It's like a Venom 299 where Venom's actually on the last page. But yeah, Foom 2, which was fans of old Marvel. There was a kid that wrote in and drew a character named Wolverine that had regenerative powers. And it is said that they stole the idea from that kid and never gave him credit for it. So I count Foom 2 as actually Wolverine's first appearance, 180 the second, and then this being the third. But it's definitely more of the iconic cover. I will give it that. So.
Is Roy Thomas one of the creators?
You just hit me on some I didn't know. You just educated me just crazy.
So Roy Thomas was the editor at the time. In more recent history, if you Deadpool Wolverine movie, at the end of it, they give Roy Thomas credit for creating Wolverine, which was a total departure because it's always been that it was Trimpe, Len Wein, and then also John Romita Sr., really. And because that's a senior head, by the way. This is not the Herb Trimpe face. They changed it because they didn't like it. I have the British copy that actually has the real Herb Trimpe face on it. But
you got two copies?
Yeah, I've got multiple copies. Out of the English version, I've got the foreign variant.
Wow.
But yeah, so the British one that came out has the actual face on it. But anyway, so in recent years, they gave Roy Thomas credit, which was kind of a slap in the face of the other creators. The original sketch that John Romita Sr. drew of Wolverine just went at Heritage last year. And the obnoxiously large Roy Thomas signature didn't keep it from getting a very hefty price tag. So.
Wow, man.
Well,
Hulk 181.
Even Herb Trimpe.
I love that made it. Huh?
Even Herb Trimpe didn't take credit for creating Wolverine. I think
he just drew it. You know, Len was writing it, and Romita was the art director, and so at Marvel, and so he's the one that kind of conceptually, laid it out. And he's like, all right, I'll just draw it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on, like in that era, the 70s and 80s, where it's just like a complete collab where people just kind of piecemealing everything. So it's kind of hard to kind of trace like the chronology unless you get the records from the people that were involved. Just like for example, the first crossover between Marvel, DC, Superman, Spider-Man, right? Mm-hmm. People don't know that Neil Adams is uncredited. He did a lot of the Superman figures, body figures for what's his name? Was it Ross Andrew?
Yeah.
who's the
Yeah,
artist?
his artist.
Yeah, yeah, Ross Andrew. Yeah, so yeah, Neil was telling me, yeah, he came in like he told me the story when Ross Andrew got the gig on Superman versus Amazing Spider-Man, and he was saying like he was like, hey man, like you know, help me out with some of the stuff, and because it was like later on in Ross's career and all this stuff. So, but yeah, like I was like, whoa. So like, and then I hear all this stuff now where I talk to these old crusty bunker guys, and there's all this inking by committee stuff that happens. And so it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about that. And then I had no idea that Hulk 181 has another Hulk face, a version with a Hulk face. I didn't know that until tonight. So that's awesome. Thank you for that. All right. My last one. Okay. I had to pick something. I did pick I picked one book from the 80s, but I got two books from the 80s, two Batman books from the 80s, because I feel that that decade had the pinnacle stories. I thought the 2000 has the runs, like where you have the people that were on the title for a year or something like that. But as far as like stories, all time classic, timeless story, Batman stories, the 80s is it. And you guys should know what I'm talking about. I'm glad I'm last because I was curious to see if anybody was going to share this. But the Killing Joke, okay,
Yeah.
Ah, there you go.
Almost made the cut too. Yeah.
almost made the cut. Okay, so great minds think alike. I picked the Killing Joke. This is for me, pound for pound, my favorite Batman story, cover to cover. Like if you from beginning, middle to end, not like okay, part one, this issue, part two, that issue. One story, cover to cover, Killing Jokes fits the bill for me. Brian Bolland, this could come out today, as is, as is. Brian Bolland's art is way ahead of its time. Alan Moore is a genius, obviously, and this is one of those. After Dark Knight Return, they made the prestige format so popular. So the prestige format on this, and then I have another copy. Okay, by the way, this is actually signed. The Brits sign their books in the first page, right?
Yep, on the
So
first
this is
page.
actually signed by Brian Bolland. Okay, so this is signed by Brian Bolland, and then shout out to Crafty Comics. This is a clear board. This is another issue. This one, okay, guys, we're gonna do an episode when because Mike is gonna get one book graded. He's gonna submit one book ever in his life, and it's gonna be this one. This book is a Killing Joke, signed by Alan Moore and Brian Bolland. Okay,
Ooh, yeah.
I got this from the first time owner. He contacted me because he wanted me to have it, and this is it right here. And I think it a grade very high. CGC has signature verification, so does CBCS. I want to try to do something where I can get a quick turnaround. So that's why they said I could do it at Baltimore. I bought this at Baltimore, but somehow, some way, I didn't get it verified. I got wrong information. So I know friends that did get stuff verified at Baltimore, but this is actually so I hoard this book. So I have this signed by Brian Bolland and Alan Moore. And then I have this one signed by Brian Bolland on the first page. And then this one is another slab copy, of just Brian Bolland. And actually, this actually could be yours if anybody wants it. It's on the eBay store. I have three. I love this book. I wanted something on the cover. I actually bought this years ago. And this was one of my first signed Killing Jokes. I actually have 4 Killing Jokes, but I have 3 signed, and this is one of them. This is actually, like I said before, my favorite Batman book. So if you guys are interested in this, it's on the eBay store.
No way.
That was our timeless. Okay, so of the 5 books that you guys shared, which one is your actual favorite?
Favorite based in
Favorite-
still the criteria of all-time comics.
Or just
My
favorite
favorite-
as like in your collection, your PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Infinity Gauntlet one will be for me, not because of the book necessarily its significance, but like I said, with the signatures and how it all came back together. But Mike, you hoard that book. How many of the printings you got? Man, that thing went to 14 different printings.
Yeah, I didn't do that. Like
Okay.
I when it went to I didn't know that it had that many printings. Like when I saw that there was one with like a blue writing, and then there was one with the pink writing, I was like, cool, I'll get those 3. And then I saw something on Facebook where some dude had a whole floor covered in all the different printings. I was like, dude, I am not running that race. You can have that. Now I'm good. No, but the first print, I hoard that one because typically you go after the first print. The first print is the more sought after printing.
Right.
And so that's what I went. And so I kind of hoarded them all. But okay, so your favorite, Mark, what was your favorite that you of the ones that you shared?
Kind of hard, man.
It's hard.
I'll say my first love, Kingdom Come, man.
Kingdom Come. Oh, you're being a little sentimental. No way that's your favorite. No way.
This is like my dad and my brother read this.
Someone stole that joint from me. You are not batting an eye. You're not batting an eye. Somebody ganked that from you.
I don't know.
No, you're not.
What else am I supposed to? Well, like if I'm going
that Kirby,
by value, you know, like
hurt.
this
that
one
would hurt you. That's like
by value though, you know, because this is I spent some money on this, you know.
I'm saying
I think the one that would hurt though, like
we're not talking about reader. Okay, Love and Rockets, double sign. That's
okay,
pretty hot. That's
hot.
This
one would hurt.
That's a good one.
That's hot.
But yeah, that's my take.
What about you, Tony? What was your favorite book of the ones you shared?
If I had to pick one that I would miss the most, it's probably going to be the Jeff Johns Forever Evil New York Comic Con exclusive cover. Signed. Okay. Only because I've only met the man one time. It's one of my favorite modern DC stories. And it's Jeff Johns. So, of course. I think I missed this one the most because the cover wasn't cheap. The cover was pretty expensive. But I see Jerry Ordway. He must live locally to me. I see him pretty frequently. So I feel like I could easily get something replaced.
Oh, Lord.
Mike.
Just rubbing some lemon juice and salt.
Oh, Lord. Gee, man. I gotta say it's really hard because like it took me a while to kind of get SIGs on some of this stuff, but the Flash 123 is like it's to me is like a relic to me, but for sentimental reasons, this one here, and in fact, this is probably the second oldest book that of the 5, like meaning in my collection, I've owned this one longer. You know, one of those Killing Jokes I've had for longer than this, but I've had this in my collection for a while. I would say this is probably a very fine issue. It's clean, it's glossy. It's a great copy. I even pressed it. So it's I know it would grade high if I wanted to do something crazy like that, but I just like it for this is just a sick Neil Adams Joker cover. So yeah, man, that was fantastic. We're about to wrap things up here with our last topic, which is always the signature update, 6 layers updates, as we do every week. I always like to remind everybody there's a link in the description, our eBay store. I'm doing as fast as I can trying to upload stuff, but I got thousands of stuff that eventually making his way up between editing and all the stuff we're doing. But if you are a big DC fan, this is a great eBay store. If you're a Batman fan, great eBay store. Batman keys from the Silver Age, Bronze Age, all the way modern signed stuff, and going to have some Bronze Age signed stuff. But I'm still curating that. So if you're into signed books, you're into the stuff that we do here. A lot of the stuff that I share, there's a lot of some of that similar stuff, if not identical stuff that have duplicates of. That is up on the store. Don't hesitate to make offers because I have a bunch of stuff, and that's a great way to support our channel. And then this week on the 6 Layer Station, I thought, Mark, Sanford Green, I thought that this was a awesome interview. We kind of got him last minute, maybe like a week or so ago. Yeah. Bitterroot returns, but I didn't know that he was a part of the think tank of the Marvel hip hop variants. I didn't know that he helped pick some of the artists to do the variants, and he also curated the hip hop catalog to homage. So like Axel Alonso, him, and a couple other artists kind of curated that whole initiative. I didn't know that at all, and he brought
you
that.
Have any of those issues, Mike?
Of what?
Of those Marvel variants.
I know. I got the OGs. I got what they homage from. I got that. I don't have the flipping Marvel books. I'm good. But I thought, but in all honesty, though, Mark, as a DC fan, I thought that was the coolest thing. As a hip hop fan and as a DC DC fan, I thought that was the coolest thing Marvel has ever done, other than Punisher Max. I thought that was cool, because they went deep into the bag, not just like the kind of poppy hip hop acts. They went deep into that. So I thought that was cool. Sanford Green is on. And then also, I didn't put it up, but there's also a Jason Sean Alexander. Why did Jason Sean Alexander almost hang up the phone on Todd McFarlane? We have that up. He got his first gig on Spawn from Todd McFarlane, obviously. And you can find out why Jason Sean Alexander, a big artist on Image in general with Philadelphia and Spawn. I think he's back on King Spawn or something right now. But yeah, he talks about that origin story, meeting the Todd father and working on Spawn. So that's something. Then we also have, I don't know if I have it up here. I don't think I do. I don't think I have it ever. But the process with David Barron every week. We had a Ryan Benjamin Wolverine. Next week, I haven't edited it yet. I forgot what it is. Oh, Cable. It's going to be Cable. I just got the footage today, so I have to edit that. And then, yes, we're cooking up great stuff here at the 6 Layer Station with Doug Mankey and the animations. Still working on the widescreen project. As you guys know, animation takes a long time. I can't wait to do that. But you also see Doug Mankey featured on the process, sketching up a popular character, a popular new character that you haven't seen Doug draw yet. So you're going to see that be shared for the first time, and then in the companion episode, David will color that piece. So I'm excited. I can't tell you guys what he's going to be drawing, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be something you guys really enjoy, especially now. But anyway, guys, any last words? Anything that you guys want to let everyone know before we hang it up?
My CBCS order is coming soon, hopefully. That's huge. I mean, I wish I had books tonight that I put in that order. They had that big promo code where they waived all verification fees. So originally it was going to be like a $1,200 order, but when I waived the fees, we got it down to like $600. So it was like half off.
Wow.
So I took full advantage of it. So, yeah, there's content coming up for that and giveaways included in there. So I threw a couple of books in there I don't want that are signed, and why not? So if you like
You got a big
free stuff,
book coming. Oh, I can't wait for that.
monster stack. It's like 30-some books. It's huge.
Man, stay tuned.
I'm gonna
For
say
the
someone.
Signature King. Well, yes, sir.
I was just gonna say someone get a copy of Fearful Symmetry for Mike Craven's Last Hunt. Get that for Mike. Diversify his collection.
Please like this video before you guys leave out. Also, I was looking for the Wolverine. Duh, the Wolverine's in the graphic right there. That's the Wolverine from this week's process by Ryan Benjamin, colored by David Barron. I'm like, dude, I'm looking all over the place. Duh, it's in the flipping graphic right there, Mike. Wake up. But okay, yes. And anything you want to share, Mark? Where are you gonna be next, man? You be out in the street. You be in the street. What's your next event you're going?
There's an event tomorrow. Sankovic is going to be at Golden Apple. Anyone that's listening, $40 for anything that's not the book that he's selling. And there's another convention called There's another convention called Multicon. So you guys know that. Be there or be square, man.
So Sienkiewicz, is just him going to be there? Any other people?
Some other people that worked on, I believe the book is called The Essentials.
Okay. But you're going there for Bill?
Yeah. Got to try to get things together.
I'm curious what comes out of that. I'm curious. All right. And then for me, please like and subscribe to all 3 of our channels. That's what I want to end this with. Like this wonderful video, especially if you're in the live. If you're watching on Instagram, please head over to YouTube and subscribe to the Southern Comic Geek, Signature King, and the Sig Slayer comic book headquarters, baby. Let's go. Give us a follow on IG, and then come over to YouTube and smash that subscribe button and like this. We will be back next week on Stash Wars Live. And once again, we had a little break. But here we go again. We got a wave of Comic-Cons coming up in March that we want to get you guys prepared for. So next Friday is the last day of February. And so we're going to get you guys geared up for WonderCon in Anaheim, C2E2 in Chicago, and Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City. Okay, so we will be going over, unpacking all of this stuff. My man Mark just already said, I don't know if you guys heard, but he said casually that Bill Sienkiewicz is $40 a signature. Okay.
It's cheap when you compare it to Neil Adams.
So compared to Neil Adams. So that what would that make him? That would make him tier 2.
Yeah.
He's tier 2.
Okay.
So Bill Sienkiewicz is tier 2. He is $40 a signature, guys. Wowzers. I remember when Bill was one free. You know, back when you used to ride the wagons and you know, you used to have to pee outside in the outhouse and stuff like that. Like, he was one free. You see what I'm saying? Now my man is $40 chucks and not even. There he is, Grand Admiral Burtis. Okay, Grand Admiral Burtis, I'm glad you came on. We showed, this is the guy that had those Jim Lee pages. He had the 3 consecutive Jim Lee pages. Since he's here, you know, this was you, man. This was you, man. Unbelievable. 3 consecutive Jim Lees. That is nuts. And so so that's how we're going to end the show tonight, guys. Stay tuned next week. We will go over another comprehensive signature guide. Things change from show to show, and so we want to let you guys know as that happens. And there's going to be fresh appearances, so first time appearances for the year for some of this guest list, like Jim Lee. Jim Lee will be making his first real appearance at a Comic-Con at WonderCon. So like we'll be talking about all these things and what to unpack. Same with people like Ed McGuinness. Ed McGuinness will be out for the first time in 2025. So we're going to be breaking all of this stuff down next week. So if you're going to be in Chicago, Kansas City, or Anaheim, LA area, SoCal area, we will be talking about these shows. But until then, guys, you guys have a great weekend. We are out. Peace.